Dear oh fucking dear. Dear oh fucking dear. That is as bad as it gets. That is as bad as it gets. I'm just in the stadium now. This is the third time we've lost. Conceding. I'm actually fucking numb. What an absolute disgrace. What the fuck was that? Got fucking waving. Players waving to the family in the crowd. Like it's a fucking sick joke. We'll talk about this in a minute. Absolute mess. I'm fuming. I actually want to scream at this lot. Absolute fucking disgrace. People arguing in the crowd as well. Toxic. I felt like screaming. I was gonna scream. Disgraceful. Huh? This is the. I'll show you around what we're being succumbed to.
Is it an empty $1 billion stadium? There we go. Yeah.
That's what this place, this shit. Not going to say shithole, but this is what it's come to. Embarrassing. The third time we've conceded
4 goals.
a shambolic amount of goals, and I don't know where to start with that. I practically what went wrong, but
Well, Ryan, being at the stadium, clearly there's something that was wrong today. We can, of course, say it's a lack of heart, lack of passion, lack of fight, but there was always an extra Brentford player everywhere on the pitch. Was it tactical, or was it purely just a lack of heart, passion, and being second best to a committed Brentford squad? Because from my side, it looked like it has to be both, but it's hard to see it when you're watching on TV compared to seeing the full pitch like you did. Did you see that too?
yeah, I may disconnect in a second as I leave the Everton Wi-Fi and come onto the normal Wi-Fi, the normal 5G. But the answer to your question is quite obvious. We could see the bigger picture. We can see the big picture. We can see the spaces are everywhere. This is where I'm going to disconnect, so if you can just bear with me.
Yeah.
The spaces are absolutely all over the pitch. Brentford had overload and space in every area. They were more physical. They had more speed of thought, more speed in the passing. But Everton were just like statues, like a bunch of absolute wet lettuces. Oh, he's still there. Is this working?
Yeah, still here. Yeah, just enough. Yeah, still that.
We didn't win a second ball.
All right, may have lost Ryan now, but we'll hold off for a second. When he comes back in, he may cut through. But yeah, basically,
You there?
Ryan, you cut out just there. But basically, we lost. Yeah, we didn't win a second ball until Beto basically came on. It felt like.
He made it. I don't want to disjoint all over the place with this post match, but I suppose it's just a raw reaction.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't win a fucking second ball the whole match. We lost every midfield battle. The defence were exposed. They were always left 1v1 or 2v2. And you can't defend space, and you can't defend the physical presence, and you can't defend the running behind because you're slow. It's just a disaster. So you have to squeeze, you have to play compact.
Yeah, and somehow, and it was quite obvious also watching on TV here, we couldn't string passes together to the midfield. Very similar to when we played against Arsenal, where just they can shut us down in the midfield, outnumber us at every moment. But it seemed it was a little bit different. It was more like positionally, we didn't know how to handle Brentford having so many numbers in the middle and being quite dynamic. They're 4-3-3 against our whatever we want to call it. And a lot of times, Diblin played as a right central midfielder, and I think we kind of started in we did not play again. We were not prepared for a Brentford squad because our number 10 in Dwight McNeil, for example, or even Tyler Diblin, were outmuscled and not really involved in the play at all. That we basically needed 5 central midfielders to tackle. Looks like he's cutting out again. You still there, Ryan? Well, when he comes back in. So from my side, it looked quite obvious that they have quite a dynamic squad. They're not always pacey wingers out wide. They're cutting in.
Fucking nightmare.
And it allowed for overloads in very like wherever the ball was, they were able to mobilize, cover the space, and it wasn't as positionally focused versus covering flooding the zone is almost like you'd say in an American football term potentially. And they have, and Mikkel Damsgaard was, I think, huge for them today. Yes, he didn't score. I think Janelt was heavily involved, and of course Thiago got a hat trick, and he didn't have to score one-off penalties for us. So you're basically looking at this and saying, all right, it started. Unfortunately, we actually started okay today, all things considered. But what happened was we knew that we were struggling to the middle, and Tarkovsky was playing a bit too cute, a bit too comfortable through the mid. I think it was on an all right wing, not towards Tyler Devlin and Tim-Eric Burnham. Caused a turnover, and straight away Michael Keane was trying to capture Thiago on the back post. Looks like he's Ryan's back in. You back on mobile data now? So whenever Ryan can jump in, he can. But that first goal, I think, really changed everything, and it shouldn't be as simple as that. You have to stick to a plan. But Tarkovsky, instead of at the obvious moment to me, where, you know what, we're not going to give away a stupid turnover when they have an overload. They had an overload on our right side, and we gave it right to them. And we were caught out of position. Michael Keane, it's always tricky to blame someone on a turnover like that because it shouldn't have happened. But guess what? Michael Keane was not in position to take on the run of Thiago. And basically, from there on, we were just absolutely second best. So Chad's going to be joining us here momentarily as well. So if I'm cutting in and cutting out on my content, I'm just trying to track everyone in here. What I'll start to do is go through some comments while they come in. So I think the first one comment was a waste of time. We also saw that was terrible. Idiots asleep from the start. Brentford came to conquer, and they did, and ripped us apart. Absolutely. Worst game in years. Oh, That's tricky. We've been blown out a few times, but it was not impressive. We didn't have the heart today. And partly it's down to Moisey because, look, I don't think we should have had 3 attacking midfielders. We needed more central midfielders and bigger bodies in the midfield from the beginning. To be honest, the Merlin role did not impress. He was physically there, but again, just seemed a little bit off the touch with in possession. The one that came on later that I think could have actually honestly started in that 10 role today potentially would have been the likes of Armstrong. I was quite happy to see him involved. But really, the only player in that first half that was even worth mentioning was Pickford. He had to do a bunch of body blocks and saves, and we could have been down, 3-4-0 at half time. Chad, if you're ready, I can add you in as well. All right. So, Chad, why don't you get going, because Ryan's there in presence, but not in connectivity. So we'll leave him in the background for a bit.
Yeah, hey, buddy.
Fucking pitch black. You kidding me?
Ryan.
Fucking.
What the hell?
Imagine fucking leaving the stadium and this is the road next to the stadium. It's pitch black.
I mean, do you want to see lights?
It's a fucking nightmare to get to. It's a nightmare to get to that stadium. It's a nightmare to get in. It's a nightmare to get out, and it's a nightmare on the pitch. It's like Halloween every night. Hiya, Chad. I love you. But oh my God. Please. What the hell is going on there? I mean, where the hell do you start with it?
Moise was embarrassed today. Moise got his pants pulled down on television. I cannot believe we would continue with those 2 fullbacks. We looked well off the pace from the kickoff. Just embarrassingly bad. I wanted to turn it off, but I had a feeling I would be on with you guys, so I stuck with you.
Yep, I felt the same way, Chad. I just wanted to have a nip of whiskey and go to bed. I'm not laughing out of happiness. It's a laugh.
We've seen this play before. We've seen this. We've seen what happens. There was one moment in the first half where Dibbling, we probably had the same commentators as you. I think I just have the feed, the UK feed. But Dibbling is all alone on the right. He gets doubled up, and there is no one within 40 yards of him. Irabunam isn't coming over to relieve any pressure off of him. He has no overlapping fullback coming to give him any presence. He's completely doubled up. He's not able to beat 2 men, as most people aren't. He turns it over, and then he commits a reckless foul. It just seemed, in that moment, I felt for the kid, because what else is he supposed to do? We went into this game completely handcuffed by having no fullbacks that are able to be of any use whatsoever. And then on top of that, Tim Irabunam had one of those off days. Chris, we talked about him. Very hot and cold, hit or miss. We've seen very good moments recently. He was awful today. Tim Irabunam was very, very poor today. And it left James Garner in a situation where he was completely isolated, feeling like he probably had to do everything in the midfield. And it was just awful. It was terrible. I thought Grealish had moments. He had 2 assists today, so it's going to look good from a stat sheet perspective for Jack Grealish. I thought he looked good. I thought Harrison Armstrong looked really good coming on. And our strikers were on an island for the most part, but everyone else was incredibly poor.
Yeah. Well, today you have to give credit to Beto, because he sensed the frustration of the crowd, and he was fully committed and had that little bits of grit and causing turnovers. The problem, of course, becomes he was on an island, and it was risky, but it made sense at the time, I suppose, was we had to try something different, because to be honest, Chad, we didn't have the man. We had Armstrong, so we could have played 3 through the middle like they did, because you know what, they had a 4-3-3. Their attacking players would come in and overload in the middle and give us a lot of problems. So we were always outnumbered. But what we tried to do very quickly was, let's just bypass our midfield. Let's go long, and you go, okay, because Beto and Barry are going to consistently do that, and then pass it to whom? Merlin? Maybe. Not likely. So all of a sudden you go, okay, how often do we play 4-4-2? You knew that was going to be a problem almost immediately, and they basically figured it out how to play against us, and we started going behind, and we had a horrible little window.
Chris, I don't want to talk tactics. I don't want to talk shape. They Brentford outworked Everton. They
Yeah,
were
right.
out. They outcoached Everton today. Everything, every part of every moment of
Yeah,
this
well,
game
what
was
I'm saying here as
overshadowed by
well
the
is
fact that one team looked like they wanted to be there and the other team didn't. And the quality that was on display today was so incredibly poor across the board. That didn't even look like the same team we watched against Forest.
I'm here now.
And it seemed like the players did not know what to do. They seemed overwhelmed, shocked, and in their shell. They didn't want to take a risk to be out of position because they didn't trust that Brentford wouldn't smack us when they got the ball back. So we played within ourselves, and then part of that is then the second you're playing within yourself, you're not winning that second ball. Almost like very rarely did we win the second ball back. And
Can I just say before
we didn't trust ourselves. Yeah, you're right.
Because David and Stevie will be taking over because I've got to drive, but we saw the whole big pitch. You see a small section of the pitch on the television, okay? I can tell you now that Brentford had every player when they received the ball was in tons of space. They were always moving into space. They were interchanging. They were winning all the second balls. They were winning every battle, knowing which areas to be. Tactically, they outclassed us. Physically, they outclassed us. And there's a big tactical digest there to do. But then the players let us down so badly today. And David Moyes, with a terrible substitution to bring on Merlin Roll instead of Harrison Armstrong, or put him... where was he playing? I don't even know where he's playing. I can't even tell you what position he was playing.
We didn't really have a right winger, did we? The second that happened,
At times it looked like 4-3-3 with Grealish, Barry, and Beto up top, and then it looked like 4-4-2 with Merlin Roll as your right mid. They look like they've never even trained it. Have they even practiced that? I have no idea. It didn't look like it today.
I've
Wait, say that again,
into
Shane?
my well,
It's outrageous.
I believe we see a Steve in the shadows here.
You have to come back to town, yeah.
I don't have that sort of time. Get on with that stuff.
All right. So are you still there, Chad?
Might have to.
Yeah, I'm just listening. I've seen some of the comments. Everybody is completely on. I mean, the Moyes out stuff is ridiculous. Let's get out of here with that.
Yeah, it's not Moyes out. Look, we can have a terrible game, and we need to learn from it quickly and not let this keep happening, because we look second rate to Arsenal as well. And although we were quite frustrated with that result, somehow we scored 2 goals, and both strikers, who we say can't score, got on the score sheet. So there are little nuggets of optimism that at least strikers are scoring, but as an overall result, not good enough, basically, from everyone other than the strikers and the keeper today.
What is Moyes thinking? We just went into Forest and won 2-0, and then we're gonna change the side. We're gonna move O'Brien back out to right back and sit. We're gonna sit Patterson. We're gonna put McNeil in at the 10 when Merlin will actually seemed okay in that spot. I'm not gonna say he looked good in there. He was poor today. Why the changes? Why we're coming off of one of the best wins we've had all season? Why the changes today?
I mean, I think the team he trusts was not the team that effectively played against. Well, we did. So Charlie Alcaraz was out and Keane was back. Those are the only differences. So he effectively trusts O'Brien at right back and wants Keane at center half.
Yeah, the difference
Other
was
than that, he didn't have many choices.
Armstrong was back in the squad and Keane was healthy. That's the only change from now from today until Forest.
But you were just asking that, and you go, was that enough? Because we have a smiling Basil over here.
was Keane fit? And I'm smiling because the mic wouldn't work with my gloves.
Oh, gotcha.
Run ragged at the back.
Run ragged at the back. Yeah. I mean, obviously we were. I think a lot of the time the center, like, it was funny. Thiago, and we're going to talk about referees really quickly here, because it was a Merseyside derby with Douglas. Was it not Douglas Luiz? Who was something Luiz again from? And he basically jumped into the Everton players consistently just to knock us off the ball. Thiago was doing that consistently, and we did not get a free kick where he was basically looking away and body checking the Everton centre halves consistently. And I'm not using that as an excuse, but there's certain little things like that where you go, it just added to the frustration of the game. It's like we're getting destroyed, and these silly little calls are just not happening.
Every team that comes to Bramley Moor now knows the crowd is very flat. It's a terrible atmosphere. All we have to do is stifle them briefly. They'll get irritated. We'll do everything we can to. He wants Lime Street. We'll do everything. Why? We'll do everything we can to irritate them. We'll do everything we can to irritate them. We'll take ages on throws. We'll pretend we're injured. We'll move the ball into positions to take free kicks where the free kick was never from. We'll do everything we can. For God's sake, David, we'll do everything we can to disrupt it, to make it as difficult as possible, to make it as unbearable for the fans, as difficult to watch. Give the referee a nightmare.
Slow it down.
But then individual players like Tyler Dibbling, rubbish, anonymous, doesn't know where to be positionally. Dwight McNeil doesn't know he's pressing, but he's pressing as a one man. You're just going to get bypassed. Would you been better off staying compact and as a team instead of everyone rushes out, they play into midfield, and then over the top to a couple of donkeys who made us look terrible.
Yeah,
They're
You've
not that
got
good.
to take the game to Brentford because you're playing at home. They lost 4 out of 5 away games. They've not been that great, but they have picked up a lot of points this season, like gone under the radar a bit. Today they played really well, and we just weren't at the races from my perspective. But we played for 5 minutes at the start, and then as soon as we didn't take our chances, and then
That's not a good.
we gave away a goal. Very, very poor goal with a mistake. And from that set the tone for the rest of the game in terms of giving the ball away, not chasing, not getting in the right positional sense defensively, not working together, being run
They
back.
look like a bunch of strangers. How did we concede on a near post flick? The fourth goal is ridiculous. I mean, I don't even know what the third goal was.
roll turnover,
So bad.
Was it Merlin Roll?
So
Yeah,
Ryan
that
and
was a
Beth,
terrible
you were
cross
in
into
the
the
ground.
box.
After the first goal, was there any hope? It feels often like if Everton don't get that first goal, we're doomed for the day. Did the air kind of deflate out of that stadium just after that first goal, and it was never the same?
The first goal even more than the third, because I thought at 3-0 people were going to just launch themselves out, but actually after the third goal, people stayed and had hope. After the first goal, the team just heads dropped. But for me, the biggest criticism today, I can't even give it on to the players. I have to give it on David Moyes, because whatever system, whatever tactics, whatever shape he was trying to do was just a completely disjointed mess. No, I don't think I've ever watched. I don't think I've ever watched Everton as bad as that in 32 years. Where they don't win any battle, when they don't know where to be, when they can't win their battles, when they don't know what areas of the pitch to be in, the back four should literally be hung. They are a
It's
joke.
not them. It's also the midfield. It's the whole team.
The whole midfield.
They were hung out to dry by our midfield, right? That's the other problem. Yeah, the defense wasn't good enough, but when you're getting overloaded and overrun, and you have players pulling them out of position because they don't have the support, that's a huge.
They've got to be able to. They can't defend space. And that means when they're 1v1, they really struggle against anyone with any speed, mobility or pace. So they couldn't defend 1v1. I said Thiago, whatever his name, will get a hat-trick today at 12:30 to a friend of mine. I've watched him this season and he thrives off defenders like us who haven't got the ability to defend the space. He's like Beto, but better. He's a good Beto because he's Beto with a bit more of a brain. As good as Beto was. Yeah. But if you can't defend the space, then you have the midfield has to do a lot of protective work. If Grealish is very high and wide on one wing and Dibbling is kind of nowhere in the other, and then your number 10 is higher up the pitch, neither influencing a press nor dropping in, then it just leaves 2v4. It was like 4v6 and 2v4 every time. They just wait for us to lose the ball, counter-attack us, transition with huge amount of space in midfield, loads of numbers to overload against us. And it was like David Moyes was like his brain. It's like he had dementia or something. He wasn't able to think about how to actually control a football game and switch it. He should have immediately said to Dwight McNeil, go and play on the left. Grealish, you're going to come and play. deeper as a tip of a midfield tree or something.
The players were confused.
Exactly. You needed another player in the middle in that core there, because we had players just too high up and they weren't jointed together. They weren't pressing either, so they were just completely being bypassed. McNeil and Dibling were the biggest causes of it. So, and they're not physically strong enough to take on the competitive Brentford side. They were a big part of why we were just getting out muscled. So you say, what, Moyes, why did you put McNeil in the 10 when you've got a strong physical adaptive Brentford squad? That is, I mean, Merlin Roll didn't do what he needed to do. So basically Harrison Armstrong should have been in that position and had 3 in the middle straight up. Did I just like mic drop? Sorry.
No, I mean, there's nothing else. We can look at some of these comments. There's just not much to say. It was poor all the way around.
There's lots to say.
There's lots to say. There's lots to say. I'd love us to go through the goals. Can I also give a special honourable mention of the shite category to Vitaly Mikalenko for some of the worst crosses and the worst positional sense and the worst 1v1 defending. Tim Urbunen, who took a step back to the Newcastle game, losing all of his battles, taking too long on the ball. James Tarkowski for looking like he can't do anything, giving the ball away, taking an unnecessary touch when there was absolutely no need, and passing it and giving it away. Jake O'Brien for being Jack in the Beanstalk at right back with absolutely nothing about him whatsoever. Michael Keane, credit to him, probably playing with no fitness. James Garner went missing today for large space. And at the same time, I want to criticise Jack Grealish because Jack Grealish is not getting back to support the defence. So how can he's like your biggest enigma. He's great. He's high and wide. He stretches defenders. He's always running at them. But then the minute we lose the ball and he's up the pitch, Mikalenko, you're leaving us in an absolute mess.
The thing is, right, when Jack Grealish has got when we turn over the ball, he's so high up the pitch, he's never going to get back before Brentford have finished their attack. They're so quick in transition.
Moyes,
Watch the way they play. Second the midfielder gets the ball, and Damsgaard, he was instrumental in a lot of it. He just he doesn't even look, just shoves it into an area.
He just knows where
it's
to
not
go.
even always for a play, but put it in the right area, and they're onto it, and they win the second ball, and they turn you over. And I mean, that's why I said to Ryan at halftime, we've got to get better. Moyes
goes super pragmatic against the bigger teams, super pragmatic away from home, super pragmatic. Then at home, he thinks the same players who have to play pragmatic away from home, the same players now have to start playing this big, expansive football with defenders that the team doesn't suddenly become good footballers like on the ball. He changes it, and then we look exposed. And it happened against Newcastle. It happened against Arsenal. It happened against Tottenham Hotspur. It happened against. It's every week. It's like the place is like a place of doom already. We've lost 5 games at home.
Could you make them? And we didn't take our chances, and it could have been a different game. You can think of 2 that could have been a goal in the first.
About one before half time.
You can say that, but if Tarkowski didn't do that stupid pass, the game changes immediately, and we're not down 1-0 when we had momentum. So
I don't know about that. I think they would have won the game anyway. They fully deserved it. They could have won 5-6, 7-0. They should have been 3-0 up at half time. They should have been even 4-0 up. Pickford making changes. But if you're not going to follow your runners, you're not going to track back, you're not going to win your battles, and then you've got an opposition that runs harder, that is more aggressive, that wants to make an impact. I mean, Brentford are a small club. They're never going to fucking do anything. They're absolutely pointless. They're there as a local club for the fans. We're an ambitious club that wants to go and do something. And they turn up and have taken an absolute piss. It's probably the worst performance in 2026.
Well, that's true. And you know what? We can't win in a new year. I think I heard that. We've lost 6 of the last 7 matches to start a new year. And what's even worse when you think about it is Brentford have only beaten Wolves and West Ham away. And this is probably their biggest win of the season away against us.
Plenty to say. Do you want to speak, Stevie?
Don't die.
That chatting.
But I think it's unfair to say that we should have been 3-0 down after you turned 10 minutes in and said to me we should be 1-0 up. You've got to give them something.
Look, all the goals were down the other end. We only saw The first goal, which Tchaikovsky, for some reason, instead of clearing his lines when there's no pass on, everyone's got their back to goal, everyone's got a man on them, he could have just pooted it forward. For some reason, he tries to play a stupid pass into Tim Rabunum, who doesn't want it. Then the ball's clipped in behind Michael Keane. He can't do anything, but it is bad. Let's be honest. We saw that one, and we saw the 2 goals. The Barry one, I mean, the better one, he's got no right to score. He's got to come back. I mean, we talked about this last season, all the crosses going behind you. He's got to go back and arc his head. It's a remarkable header after chasing him down and showing fight and belief and passion. This guy did not deserve to be on a 4-2 down team, and to be honest, deserved to have scored a lot more goals and done a lot better this season because his attitude is exemplary. The Barry one is great because Grealish on his right foot could cross the ball without having to check it and wait for all the defenders to get set. Clips it to the back post, and it's a good header. It's only one person going to score there because they can't look where the ball is coming from and where the man of the Everton player is. So it's a good goal. But we didn't see all the others. But what we could see is a big pitch with tons of space that Brentford can pick a pocket in. They can pick holes through. The minute you get drawn out, they're in behind you. They're in around you. The striker for Brentford turned into Brazilian Ronaldo overnight. He's not that good. Most of his goals are normally pens. They haven't got wild players. I probably couldn't name too many of the players before the game, really. But
No, it's not that sort of team. They don't have a load of standout individuals, but they have aggression. They have hard work. They have strong running in behind, causing you problems, turning you over, winning second balls. We've really struggled with it today. We just couldn't live with it. I don't know how.
The names of the players that killed us, it was like Yarmolek, Janelt, Jensen, and the damn those guys, that core destroyed us. They're the names we don't know, and they destroyed us.
Just watch what Newcastle did. You wait for the mistake, and you run up the other end when we overexposed because we're not good on the ball. We can't defend the space, and we can't deal with the turnovers.
Yeah,
and every time Jacob Bryan plays it right back, we suffer. I've never seen him have a good game there this year. The whole system changes. We can't progress the ball out of the defence and into midfield.
Well, I don't know if you were calling, but me and Steve were calling for Keane to go up front and Jake O'Brien to play centre back because he's got the pace, the recovery pace, and we need to push forward and we're still losing the game. If that had been the change, we wouldn't have got caught in behind there because he just couldn't. Keane got completely caught out with the pace there and positioning.
Anyway, careful, we'd have had Keane, Beto, and Barry up front and just hoof it. Maybe that would be more effective because we couldn't handle their midfield. It's kind of what Moyes did in a backfired anyway, but...
What did you make of the substitutions at half-time, or have you already discussed that?
Well, it made sense that McNeil needed to come off. It made sense that Dibbling needed to come off. But Chad, did you like the subs?
No, I was hoping we would. I was hoping O'Brien was coming off. That seemed to be the biggest opportunity anyway. I thought McNeil needed to come off. If Dibbling would have stayed on, that's fine either way. But certainly O'Brien and McNeil would have been my 2 subs, and I probably would have gone with Patterson and Armstrong, perhaps. Just not something Moyes was comfortable with. I can't for the life of me understand why Moyes continues to go back to this Jake O'Brien at right back. Well, it just doesn't work. We've never seen it be effective. We've seen it be sound, but we are the lowest scoring team in the Premier League. I think there's a reason why that is, and it's because we get nothing out of our fullbacks whatsoever. I think we've learned to live with Mikalenko, especially if Grealish isn't going to get back and play defense. He's like Messi in that way. But Jake O'Brien offers you absolutely nothing, and it just isolates your right wing. So we're playing completely handicapped. And it's not going to change until they can get it right back.
Yeah. But he obviously at half time, he made that issue worse, didn't he? Because he didn't put a right winger or a right mid. I don't know who was playing right wing or right mid in that second half. There wasn't one. And, when you left this centre back, just the whole flank. I was saying to Ryan, well, we got to get crosses in, but there's nothing from the right. It's all from Grealish.
He wanted everything down the left. And he wanted to be able to create the chance from the left to cross in and have Beto and Barry at the back post. All I want to say is you've got to criticise David Moyes so much for this because You can't have two wingers who play extremely high and wide and then basically a 4-4-2 because McNeil is so high at the pitch, unless all of the four midfield and centre backs can defend the space and 1v1. And they can't do that, and it showed.
Yeah,
And all
basically
this
we
talk
gave
about
up the right side because O'Brien's not going forward. Merlin wasn't good enough on that right side. But he was playing central, and we basically hoped Grealish would do something. He did deliver two goal-scoring crosses, but it was a very what you've also noticed, Ryan, I imagine, and Chad and everyone else, there are certain players that our team don't have confidence passing to. There was a chance where Merlin Roll was actually in a very advanced position, and Jack didn't pass it to him. And he basically was in on goal on that right side, just didn't take that opportunity to pass it on. And you go, we have these rare moments. Why aren't we utilizing our players? And then we get very predictable for them to shut us down.
What about when Irabunam had Barry running right in on goal? It was
Tim Irabunam today.
Yeah.
Go, Ryan, please go.
Yeah, Brant away, please. Tim Irabunam.
The Tim Irabunam one where he gets out muscled and then tries to recover. And then he runs through and spoofs it wide with his left foot. I mean, that.
Well, that's Tim Irabunam to a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah,
he'll give it away. He's got aggression, but he has no.
It was the third time.
That was one of the
worst. He falls over running through on goal.
That was one of the worst shots with a weak foot I've ever seen from a professional footballer before. He looks like he's never.
Dwight McNeil is on our team, so that's a big statement.
he shanked it, completely shanked it. I don't. I mean, you've got a player there, albeit it's early on in his career, Harrison Armstrong. He came on. I thought he looked really bright, actually. And, it doesn't mean in the stopgap, surely Garner could play at right back and
he's good at right
bring
back.
Harrison Armstrong in for Tim if you want a bit more quality in terms of probing the ball forward. I also want a left back. I don't want to. Grealish is only here for 6 months more, and he needs an overlapping left back. We're not utilising him properly.
Ask them what they thought David Moyes was trying to do at the start of the match. What was the game plan? What was the formation? Because the way it looked to us was like we played with no formation for the first time ever. We played a formation where it was just like, you just go do what you want. You go where you want. What were they trying to do? What was the commentator saying?
Pressing.
What were the commentators saying? A terrible press.
I'd like to know the average position.
Because it seemed like they were trying to press them in, but it was very lethargic and disorganized. What it seemed is that what I noticed was Tyler Dibling. We actually had a 4-3-3 out of possession, which is quite weird because Tyler Dibling was physically outmuscled in a midfield spot. So we kind of, instead of having a 4-4-2 out of possession, it was more like 4-3-3, and we were trying to accommodate their midfield. And it wasn't working because you're bringing in Dibling too narrow. So basically, it wasn't Rico Henry, it was the other guy on their left side, basically came in and blocked him out of the game. He was physically not available. And he's not. If you want someone to win tackles, you need to have Jack Grealish calves if you don't have shin pads. So you need someone a bit bigger, unfortunately. If you want someone to out-muscle Brentford, it's not him in that position. So basically, then what you wanted to have is probably Dwight McNeil a bit deeper and swap him with Dibling to have a bit more muscle to win these challenges. Because I think that was a big challenge at the beginning. It was 4-3-3. We'll
be all right.
Are we?
We'll be all right because, the way the season's gone is we're going to win one, then we're going to lose one, and then we're going to draw one. We're going to win two, we're going to lose one. We're going to draw, we're going to lose, then we're going to win three. It's kind of just a ridiculous season where we are the epitome of mid-table. The annoying thing for me is both strikers scored a goal that proved to be meaningless, where in other games, those goals would have been crucial. And how at 3-1, when we're still chasing it, we ended up scoring another goal in the period we expected not to score, and we actually conceded one. So it frustrates me. The goals meant nothing. But we have Dewsbury Hall to come back. We have Njai to come back. We need them to get knocked out, really. But we've got Brantwaite to come back. He's got to come straight back in. Go on.
I do disagree that it means nothing. We have strikers that are desperate for any grain of confidence, and both of them scored today. That is not
Nothing in terms of nothing. Hang on, let me just clarify.
Oh yeah,
Nothing
it
in
isn't a
terms of the
result, but you
result.
know what? Maybe on a 0-0 now, they have that one-on-one chance, and they have a touch more confidence to get that winner next week, where it actually made a difference. If we lost 4-0 today versus 4-2, okay, I'll accept that it didn't matter for points, but we have strikers that are desperate for goals, have not basically done enough all season, and both of them scoring means we have some level of confidence between Jack delivering and feeding them in and winning headers. That isn't nothing. It's not a lot on a day like today, but it's not nothing. I don't know if you think different, Jack.
No, I was just looking at the fixture list. No, the ironic thing is that our strikers actually did get some service today. Some, I mean, and they got 2 goals as a result. We've been complaining about that for years. So it felt like there were opportunities there, but I think as Ryan has expressed, we were just so wide open, especially in the middle of the pitch. We weren't able to, I don't know, keep possession, win possession. We weren't able to get stops in any way, shape, or form, and it just felt all for naught. Especially when we tried to look dangerous in the attacking third, it didn't really seem to make much of a difference.
Yeah. Well, we overinvested and just basic turnovers, and then we're just screwed.
I mean, we're in January now. We're paying an absolute arm and a leg. It's bloody 50 quid for a fucking burger in that stadium. There should be some money for them to go and sign someone. I mean, if you say that Jake O'Brien is the equivalent of a championship level right back, is that a fair comment? And he can play. He's a Premier League centre back, but he looks like a championship right back. There's surely someone better. It's the easiest position to play. If you were a bad footballer, you would say the easiest position probably, if you were fat and slow and useless at football, you'd probably be stuck at right back. That is probably the easiest position to play if you've got a right foot.
That's where I got sent in football, Ryan, so thank you.
I mean, if you put a right back and the only left footer goes to left back if he's not technically.
I'd go left back.
So how can we not find someone remotely competent? They don't have to be. They just need to be good enough to be a mid-table right back, because that would elevate. You're only as good as your weakest position. Go and get a mid-table quality right back, and then we can get a first-team standard right back, in the future. But I don't know what
I just can't get out of my head the fact we've conceded 8 goals to Newcastle and Brentford.
And 3.
We
conceded 3 to
Well,
Brentford.
we do have a right back, and as James Graham has said, we have a right back, Nathan Patterson. Now, do we trust him? And this is what Moyes does. He doesn't trust certain players.
He's not physical though.
Yeah, but when we
crossed the ball,
was cross the ball into the box from the right hand side.
Yeah, but we weren't.
We didn't want anything down the right.
We weren't getting the ball.
Well, Jake O'Brien wasn't exactly tucked in as a third centre back, was he? To make up a back 3.
I don't know why he wasn't.
When we had the ball,
I was screaming because why do you need to have 3 centre backs on the pitch when you're losing by 2 goals? You've got to go for it.
I suppose to not lose by 7, but that's just my opinion.
Thank you. My fault there. Sorry.
Yeah, we under the left back.
I'll go much later. Sorry.
What concerns me as well, boys, I know this probably doesn't affect you too much, although when you do come to England, please let me know and you can bloody have a ticket off us. The situation is, sure, there's some great comments. People are going to stop going the game. The novelty is wearing off, and people will become apathetic to it if they know they're not getting good value for their money or their experience. Now, I only am going because of work. I missed Arsenal and I missed Newcastle and I missed Tottenham and I missed Brighton. So I'm probably a little bit more immune to it than some of the others. But I think if I'd have been to Tottenham, Newcastle, see you later, Steve.
Thank you very much.
If I'd have been to all of those games, I think I would seriously be pulling my ears out of the thought of going back on Wednesday and then Sunday.
Well, especially if it's so much trouble to get to. I mean, as we're seeing you come home from it. Is it just not a great experience then? I mean, certainly the results would come into play.
I mean,
but
this was quick. Like, about Goodison, we'd be lucky to be back by about 6, right?
We had a prepaid parking space today, which is very, very difficult to get. But normally, if you don't have one of them, which is most weeks, you can't park near the ground. And then to actually enter the stadium footprint is through a small, tiny little dock wall, and they won't expand this because it's a heritage site. They won't remove the dock wall, so you've got funneling these people through, and you know what it's like. It's like you're trying to pour a bath. You're trying to make a bath, but your tap is 1 liter a minute. You know, it's like snail's pace. Then they've got these security men they're doing like a half-arse security check. If you actually wanted to bring something in, you bloody could, because it's a half-arse check, and that many people going through the scanners that they don't know who's beeped and who's not.
Yeah.
Then when you finally get through, trying to actually get into the turnstile is a bloody nightmare. It'd be easier to get out of Fort Knox than get into the stadium. And then you go round and the facilities like pretty poo. There's more ladies' toilets than I need a good analogy. Could come up with a good. There's so many ladies' toilets. It's like women's hospital. And then you finally get to your seat and you're twisting your head, looking over like that.
The question is, at the women's,
I'm just looking for stuff to moan about because I'm fucking pissed off.
Ryan, can I give
women's
you a
hospital.
segue? Because I think there's something that's actually really important that we need to talk about. Operation Goodness and Exercise had a name. Now we have this emergency management exercise thing. They said it 3 times, and then they scored. We need a better name, but we can't. You know, we have to make it PG. But what we can't just call it like the emergency exercise. We need something better. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? They had this announcement that was like on all the monitors, and it just sounded horrible.
Operation Bramley exercise.
Yeah, Operation Bramley Moore, Operation Hill Dickey.
He was a slave.
Something different.
He was a slave trader, wasn't he, Bramley Moore? He was.
Yeah, we can't do that one.
The whole thing fucking stinks.
Toffee exercise.
The whole thing stinks. Get us back to Goodison. It stinks.
No, but you raise a good point. But in the women's,
everyone just sits there like this.
Is that how many?
He's going back to the women's toilets. Come on, we've got better than the women's toilet.
Everyone just sits there.
He's obsessed with it. He's obsessed with it because they've now put in signs that say women's toilet,
female toilet, female toilet, female.
Before it was just icons of skirts and stuff. Like people couldn't work out which one.
So their men were going into the women's toilets.
Well, that's what they must have been because
everyone kept wandering, looking around for a toilet. Probably less than 0.5% of the fans there are ladies.
But we're not the Bolton Wanderers. We can't do this shit.
I don't have anything positive to say about the new stadium. The atmosphere is shit. The facilities are shit, and getting in and out, it's shit. And then it's beautiful at the same time. It's a beautiful kind of shit. I don't know how to describe it. It's like when you really need the toilet and you finally get to go. It's that kind of beautiful shit. But when you're in there and the footballers,
it's constipated,
are getting battered. I mean, they get absolutely battered, and I can't remember being outplayed for 90 minutes like that.
In your home ground.
To have little spells where we're quite good. We were battered. What did David Moyes say in his post-match, boys?
You're expecting me to have talked to you and listened to that at the same time.
He said that was disgraceful.
Did he?
No,
Go on.
I'm saying that's what he would have said. Someone asked you to say what he said. Can you
maybe Mr. Queen can have a look on his
I think hold on. He's saying something about the women's toilets. We'll have to find it. I don't know.
We're just looking for something to moan. We want something to moan about because misery loves company. James Graham, we're shy. Operation Ferry Cross the Mersey from Joey 11. Great comments, Eugene. It's not on yet.
Yeah.
No, they're delaying putting it up.
I reckon he's gone in the dressing room and literally
he's
got thrown his shit, got angry. You fucking idiot. But the problem is he's telling Jack Grealish to play left wing high and wide. He then can't be narrow and compact when we lose the ball, when it breaks down. It's the same. One of the wingers has to tuck in narrow and make up the space.
Dibbling was doing that in the first half.
Dibbling was anonymous.
Bypassed.
Yeah, right. He was. That's what I'm saying. He was playing like as the right side of 3 central midfielders. That's why he was so narrow.
Nowhere to play.
So he didn't play with the width when we had 4-3-3, right? That was why he was so narrow. which
Dibbling was
doesn't
so
work for Dibbling.
anonymous. He might as well
Yeah.
have still. He was still in Southampton and boarding a P&O cruise out of the port. I mean, that's such a UK joke. I'm sorry, boys.
Yeah, didn't get that one. That's all right.
Southampton is the biggest cruise port in the UK, and he's busy
All right.
going on holiday. He's what are we going to do about the fact we play on Wednesday night? I mean, where'd you start with that? I mean,
And Wolves have had an extra day's rest.
just go to basics with that game. Surely, don't leave opportunity in that midfield. I don't know how you do it. And Jack Grealish, is he going to play 290s?
It's a banana skin game because you know what? Wolves just got their confidence back. They won 3-0. This is
Well, maybe they're complacent and then they get bummed.
Complacent.
Battered, sorry.
They've been playing well recently, Wolves, and they finally got their win, so the tails are up.
Where are the injured players? I'm sorry. What the hell's going on? Where the hell are they?
It's gonna be. I think.
I saw them hanging out together. Charlie didn't look too happy on the bench.
I wouldn't have played. I don't even know whether I'd have played Charlie Alcaraz today.
Is he on the bench?
He just falls over the ball, doesn't he?
Sorry. He was sitting next to Seamus and Kieran on the. Oh, sorry, in the stand. That's what I meant.
To me, that shows the exact levels of lunacy that are involved in the recruitment team. The fact that we gave Seamus Coleman, who made 2 Premier League appearances last season, another year, thinking he was going to be some sort of third right back. I appreciate you could have just stuck him on the coaching team as a first team coach. What would that have been a problem? Instead of relying on him as a right back. And the situation with Patterson, you knew he wasn't good enough. We've been talking about it for years. He could have been out the door on July the 1st last year. Instead, you persisted with it. You made excuses. Everyone knows what players exist in football. It's not like 20 years ago you have to go and watch and scout a League One game. Oh, he's quite good. Let's bid for him. Everyone knows who everyone is. I could go in my house now, turn FIFA on, select a filter, 79 rated players and above, which generally means decent standard. Chad's nodding his head. And I'll go, which right backs? Oh, he's playing in a shitty league. He's probably on £45,000 a week. Let's bid for him. Why is it so difficult? Sorry, are we looking for the perfect mentality? The perfect mentality only gets you so far. You need class.
Yeah, I think we're looking for budget buys, to be honest.
We're looking for Premier League experience.
Well, then we're linked to the Blackpool right back that they've only had for 4 months themselves and paid £4 million for him. So if those are the waters we're swimming in right now, as in terms of like buying players, and we're not going to get anybody that can address any holes in this team. We have to be able to spend, and it doesn't look like we have the money to spend right now.
Yeah, if you want Premier League proven right backs, it's funny. There aren't that many. There's a lot of like left back rotation, but right back is like maybe Ben White. That's the only person you can even think of. But he's not available. To be honest, they're in Europe. You can play centre half and right back like a Timber can. So you're not going to see them move on. Like how many Premier League standard right backs would you? We talked about, was it Kenny Tete from Fulham was a conversation. But then you say, okay, surely there's someone in Italy, someone in France or Spain that'd be available. You don't want to go back to the Scottish League. That hasn't helped us.
Yeah, but the physical thing is like a problem because you look today when we were getting out physical, then you could see that's why he made those changes. He brought the 2 weaklings off who were just not cutting it physically. You go to Spain, how many physically built right backs are there? You'll get the technical quality, but will you get the? I mean, I say this now, but a lot of the African players have got that kind of way about them. They kind of have the physique, and then if you get a good one who's a physical player who's got the technical side of them as well, you can be onto a winner. A lot of them have got quality, but you know, like Joey's saying there with the speed, you know, that if you there's only so much you can do if you can't. Oh, here's Corey. There's only so much you can do if you can't run fast, and someone's faster than you, you're at a disadvantage. If someone's stronger than you, you're at a disadvantage. The tactical things, hi Cos.
Hi mate.
We're just saying you're at a massive disadvantage when your players are slow. You're slower than the opposition's players. You're physically weaker than the opposition. We can change the topic. You can go on your rant now. That's fine.
No, but do you know what, mate? You are right. We're absolutely missing someone who can just turn teams over. We've said this time and time again. We said it about Tara Dibbling, who I thought's been good lately. We just don't have. We needed a winger who was going to be rapid, a different profile, someone who changes games, who even when you're struggling like that and teams are on top, you put them on. They play on the shoulder, and then teams have to keep 2 men back, which means that they can't press as much, and they've got to keep an eye. They're always fearful that you can turn them over on the counter, just one quick ball over. So I completely agree with that. I mean, it's been something that we were crying out for in the summer. That kind of profile winning. Yeah.
What the hell went wrong here?
Well, we'll start off with the team. I don't know why he changed the back four. Back four done really well. Clean sheets. He said Keane wasn't 100% fit, so is he going to play or not? So why not just keep Keane on the bench and use him for Sunderland? There's 3 games in a week. I think Patterson probably deserved to play right back. I'm not surprised he went with O'Brien, Keane and Tarkowski, but I think he should have kept that the same.
It's a bad back four normally in terms of scoring goals.
Yeah.
We don't normally score goals with them 4.
No. And I just think that, especially with the pace that Brentford have, it's one of the things is Shada is absolutely rapid. Damsgaard from midfield has got a decent bit of pace. So I don't know why he just didn't have. He used the pace of Patterson on the right. I know he's not rapid, but used the pace of him and O'Brien in the middle. So I just don't know why he didn't go for that. Kept the same back four.
What would have happened, if we'd have gone to a 5-4-1 in that game when we were getting battered and you could see the spaces were too big and the speed? If we'd have gone to a 5-4-1 and let Brentford have the ball, how could could you have seen anything being completely different there?
Potentially, because you're getting more men up front, I guess, if you're using Patterson. But the only issue if you've got the 5-4 is you've got Mikalenko as a wing back, you've got Patterson as a wing back, and then Diblin, okay, he might tuck in, but Grealish wants to stay out pretty wide. So I just don't think going back 5 really suits playing with Jack Grealish in the team. For me, so I was saying at half time, I said to Jan, I said half time, I'd take Keane off, I'd put Patterson on or someone at right back, even if it's Mail Roll. Preferably Patterson because it's a natural right back. I'd have done that straight away, and we were struggling to play through the midfield. So I would have took McNeil off for Mail and Roll or Harrison Armstrong. Personally, would have been Harrison Armstrong, and have them 3 men in the midfield. Armstrong could still play the number 10 role, but he'll come same with like what Royal did the other day. He can still play that role, but drop deep and help support the midfield because we just could not pass through that midfield. Instead, he decided to bring Beto on as for Diblin on as well as the McNeil substitution, and I just think we struggled to go past the midfield, play through the midfield. They dominated, so Moyes is going, I'm just going to completely bypass that midfield. And look, sometimes it works, but that only gets you 1 goal. You know what I mean? It's not going to get you 2 goals. So once the team wises up to that, they just hold off. I think once we went 3-0 down, he shouldn't have made them substitutions anyway. It should have been someone coming on at right back, O'Brien into the centre, take Keane off. He was absolutely poor in the second half as well, Keane. The first 2 goals, or the 3rd and the 4th all went through Michael Keane. One literally went through his legs.
Did they?
Yeah, right through his legs. Mikalenko and Michael Keane on the left-hand side. The amount of times it happened, the amount of space, though, that was there on the counter-attack because of the change in shape, because of Moyes making them substitutions. Moyes has shacked the bed big time. So I posted on Twitter there that I think only about 4 players make it out of that game with any kind of credibility. The manager certainly does not. Number 1 for the lineup. Number 2 for the changes at half time, and number 3 for the shape and not reacting to anything in the middle of the game as well.
The 4 positives are Pickford and who else?
I'm not Pickford. I don't think he was. I don't think he was terrible. His passing was decent, but I think Garner's still done okay. He's like a neutral.
Yeah.
Right. Grealish. Look, at times he wasn't great, but he still got 2 assists and he was dangerous. Always committed, the man. Beto was probably the best player on that pitch when he come on. He was absolutely grafting for everything. Which, look, I understand. Look, I'll give Moyes credit for bringing Beto on and changing the impetus, but it's still messed with the whole shape. But that's on Beto because Beto done really, really well. And Harrison Armstrong, they only had a limited cameo. But one of the issues that we had in the game was, and this is part of the reason we couldn't play through the midfield, we were so static. We get the ball, and all I could hear was the fans screaming, move, someone show for it. No one was moving for the ball. It was so static, it was so flat, and it allowed Brentford to get in their shape. It was too easy for them. When Harrison Armstrong come on, he'd get the ball. Sometimes he'd hold on to it, but what he would do, he does that little thing where he waits till the Brentford player commits and does a little flick with the outside of his foot, and he'd done that with Garner 1 or 2 times. That little triangle, that bypasses that. Once you've bypassed that midfield, then you've got space, and we were having attacks then, and a couple of times then laid it out to Mail and Roll, who didn't really do much with it.
By the way, there is a comment there from a Brentford fan. We've sung Brentford's praises. We thought you were unbelievable. But you also think there was some camaraderie style performances there and tactical issues that played into your hands. You're not a world-class team. and we made you a world class team. Chris, this is where I think Chris leaves us. So thank you, Chris, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, time for me to sleep. I'll catch you in a bit.
Good night, mate.
Chad, have you got any enthusiasm for Wednesday whatsoever, or?
No, I'm just worried. I'm worried for Wednesday. The question is will David Moyes learn from these obvious mistakes today? And I feel like that's the one thing we know about David Moyes is he won't. He'll continue to put Jake O'Brien out at right back. He'll continue to trust McNeil in positions where he shouldn't be playing. And it's going to be more of the same until people get back healthy. He's so old school and so rigid that he's going to wait for the people he trusts to get healthy again. And he's going to just try to put Band-Aids on the squad until that time comes. So no, I'm really worried about Wolves. Wolves are going to be flying off. They just won their first league match and they have nothing to lose at this point. They don't need draws. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to come out on the front foot. And if Everton come out as poorly against Wolves as they did today, it's going to be ugly. So no, I'm more concerned than anything, Ryan.
Better or Barry?
Still Barry, because Beto looks good in moments. So I would bring him on as a sub with 20 minutes to go.
I actually thought Barry was poor apart from his goal, and that Beto was very good when he came on, and that's why I'm quite conflicted. But Barry's got 2 and 2. I think once you get your first goal, you know where the goal is, and you kind of calm down about that. Maybe you're a little bit more once you've done something, and you feel a bit more composed in those moments. But Cash asks, is David Moyes too old for the job?
No, because he's on a short-term basis.
Age doesn't really matter too much, but someone posted before that they felt like it was the schoolboy rookie manager outclassing the senior sort of pro, and that's how it felt today. What would have been a sensible thing, Corey, to have done maybe 25 minutes into the game when you can see you're getting overrun without having to make a substitution?
Well, I mean, I'd say maybe not 25 minutes in. I think the half time was just because the thing is they had a lot of the ball and we were static in midfield. But also in that first half, we had quite a few chances early on, and then the tide turned. But we still had a couple of chances in there. So I'd have been happy with them saying, look, let's get to half time and then get the boys in and you can do a wholesale change, because I think that's what needed. Little tweaks here and there. We weren't necessarily desperate for them. They literally had one decent chance, which was from absolutely poor, terrible football from Tarkowski and Keane. And then our heads dropped a little bit. Once you get through till half time, I think at that point, then that's when you can make the changes. And I think that's when he should have. But 25 minutes in, I think we were still riding the game out. We still had a couple of chances after that. So I wouldn't have done it then. But half time, definitely, I would have dragged Keane off. And again, of McNeil coming off and just putting a central midfielder in that central midfield role, someone who's not going to go missing. That was the simple solution that would have been needed. You get one goal, you're back in it. The crowd, which was pretty flat tonight, would have got up for it. I mean, we were 4-1 down once we got that other goal. So I think that's what you need to do. Do smart little decisions. But I think what Moyes has been a victim of is his own, I won't say pragmatism, but his own rigidness. As Chad said, David Moyes is David Moyes. He's old school. He's changing a little bit, but he's not going to change that much. But I do think, I mean, players have been poor tonight, but a lot of it's on the manager for the tactical decisions. The second half's on the manager.
What is the issue with not changing the team then? Because Grealish wouldn't have played. So that is one thing. You kind of have to play him if he's fully fit. But then you see all these teams play in Europe and Arsenal, for example, and all of these, they don't want to change their best 11. If Saka is fit and available and Odegaard and all of them, they keep the ones that they know are the best players and they play Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. And then if one gets injured, there's a drop. That's how they do it. He was wrong then, you think, to bring in Jake O'Brien and to change to right back when the defence had done well, even though Michael Keane is sort of like our best player and our worst player at the same time.
Yeah, because Michael Keane at times can still be exposed, and we've said this, that when Braithwaite comes in, that he quite possibly goes straight in because he's our best defender, but not just that, his pace. O'Brien's got, maybe not to the same level, but he's got good recovery pace. So especially against Sharda, it would have been a good foil for him. Our two centre backs were far too slow and got bullied far too much. If you go back to the dynamic against, and it's easy to say in hindsight, but this is what I think should have been the case from the start off anyway. If you have the dynamic of Tarkovsky, can be a hard man. He can throw out about as much as he wants to, as much as he wants to glamorise himself. And O'Brien can do the mopping up. One's the cover, one's the stopper, one's cover, one's however you want to play it. That's what I would do. A team gets a clean sheet, you don't concede. But why would you mess with that? They've done well, you know what I mean? Don't mess with that dynamic. Going forward's a little bit different because we always say, don't you, centre-back partnership is one of the most important things. And that's what you want to keep the same. You can change things about going forward. Grealish needs to come in because he's our best player. You can change things about in terms of who plays number 10, who plays on the right. Is it McNeil or Diblin? That is fine. You can change that to take advantage of other teams. But you want that. If two centre-backs have a good performance, they get a clean sheet, you keep them in. You keep that consistency.
I think the defenders have defended very well when they're behind the ball and to kick it, head it, boot it style, as we had to do against Nottingham Forest and as we had to do against Bournemouth. But whenever we have to do any defending of any sort of space and play more expansive, we look terrible. I was going to ask Chad before we wrap things up here, any of those goals in particular cause a concern in terms of like a real long-term sort of dysfunction, or is this just a one-off? I mean, because there was one which a corner, because he's so many corners. There was the ones which were the turnover. The one at the end probably doesn't happen in a normal game where they get through on goal and all that sort of stuff. So,
yeah, you throw out the corner. That was just a well-executed corner. There's nothing. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it.
Does he just get there first? Because we're down the other end.
Well, there's a bit. You'd have to watch the replay, but there's a bit of a gap that he's able to get into, and he's perfectly placed to then put it right past Pickford. So, I mean, maybe if Jared Branthwaite is in, the story's different, but that's going to happen from time to time. The first goal is the one that bothers me so much, and I hate to just continue to pick on Jake O'Brien, because if you go back and look, Jake O'Brien actually plays a poor pass back to James Tarkowski, doesn't play him to his back foot, plays him to his front foot. Tarkowski getting closed out on, and he has no outlet for the ball. So he has to make the poor pass that results in the turnover that leads to the goal. It's just, there's a chain reaction to all of this stuff. So one little mistake is going to compound, and then before you know it, you're carved open. And man, their striker is the real deal. What, Thiago Silva, or whatever his name is, he could finish better than our guys could finish. So the first one is the one that probably gets me, only because we know how detrimental it is when we don't score first. We're able to keep it tight. We're able to head crosses out all day long like we did against Forest. But if we're going to go down 1-0, then we're going to open up, and that's when Michael Keane and James Tarkowski are going to be vulnerable, just because they don't have that pace. They look like they're over 30 and never quite quick to begin with. So
a couple of yard dogs basically at times. What about that third goal then, when it looked like the chance had gone and then one of them runs from deep in and just wraps it? They wanted it more in that moment. Do you want to talk us through that? I mean, is that a dysfunctional thing, or is that a one-off? Or
I have to see that one back again. Corey, do you remember that one?
So that was just a counter attack. That was one of the ones. I think that was the one when it went through. It literally went through Michael Keane's legs. So the third and the fourth one, both of them counter attack. They get the ball on the right hand side. Michalenko doesn't deal with the ball enough, and then the ball goes through Michael Keane's legs. I'm pretty sure that was the third one. The other one, the fourth one, is very much the same. Michael Keane's not quick enough to react. Eric Boonham is the one who does the running because Michalenko's got no pace or strength or right foot or can cross or can header. And so, just to reiterate, because I can't remember which one was the third and which one was the fourth, and I don't want to make a fool of myself. But both of them goals, the third and the fourth, both come from that left-hand side. Michael Keane and Michalenko, both of them come from that left-hand side. That's the only thing that's worrying, really. Poor performance from most of the players. Very, very poor performance from David Moyes. I wouldn't say it's a symptom of anything bigger. The only major symptom of anything bigger, really, is...
Why did he sign a load of players he won't cut to it? He spent 50-60 million on Dibbling and on Dibbling and Roll. He spent another 10 million nearly on the Asnu. There's 70 million. You're telling me we couldn't have got a world-class player for 70 million quid? I'm sorry, it is gross negligence. in the recruitment department is so bad. If I was to do player ratings, I'd give Pickford a 4, or a 5. I'd give O'Brien a 4, Tarkovsky a 4 or a 3 even. Keane a 3 or a 2. Mikalenko a 2 or a 3. So very, very low scores in the midfield as well. Ibarabunum, you're talking 4. Garner, you're talking 5. Grealish, talking 7. He got 2 assists. He was the only threat. On the right hand side, Dibbling, you're talking a 4 or less. His replacement role, you're talking a 4 or less. And Beto, you're talking a 7. Barry, you're talking a 6 or even a 5 in overall performance, but he scores the header. So there's a low scoring, is possibly the lowest scoring individual group of games. So I'm going to leave it there. If you two have got anything else you want to touch on or say, then. But I think otherwise we have to go again on Wednesday night, and I really want to see what David Moyes. Should David Moyes, Chad? I'll leave you with this final answer. Should he shred the players in the press conference, or should he defend them and make excuses about? Should he make excuses about injuries? Should he shred them to bits, or should he defend them and play it down?
That's a great question. He should shred them because that display deserves, a proper tongue lashing and a call out in the media. But he won't. You keep in mind that where this squad is, they're incredibly light, dealing with AFCON and injuries, and they're limited anyway. It's almost like when you have kids, you don't expect too much because they're going to make mistakes. So how do you yell at them when you kind of saw it coming anyway? He knows these players are limited. He knows what they're can and can't do on the pitch, and I think we saw that today. So no, I don't think he will. I don't think he should. It's probably better handled, behind closed doors. I hope Seamus lets into him though. I hope they got back to that dressing room today, and Seamus really let everyone have it because they certainly deserve
But
it.
can someone like Jacob Bryan go, well, I'm not a right back and playing out of position? Can they be at each other's throats and blame each other for some dysfunction, or do you think they just need to take accountability?
Yeah, I don't get the sense this team is like that. I don't think they're dysfunctional in that way. I don't think we have those personalities. The one personality that I would be a little concerned about moving forward is Barry, but he got his goal today, so he'll be in a good mood. I don't see any other problematic personalities on this team right now.
Okay. Boys, thank you so much. Lovely to speak with you. And to everyone watching in the comments, much appreciated. So big shout out to everyone in there. Flash, Joe, Joey, Cash, tons of people. We got some Brentford fans in there who showed class in the victory as well. And it's quite sad, really, that I would say to everyone that the Bramley Moor dock has become a place of ease for away teams to come and get results. Aston Villa, West Ham, Arsenal, Spurs, Newcastle, and Brentford. And it's despicable. And we'll leave it there and we'll move on. Guys, see you soon.
See you soon, mate.